Now, Eylon, Hamas has said it will refuse to disarm unless an independent Palestinian state is established with Jerusalem as its capital. Now, of course, this comes after several countries, including the UK, France and Canada, they're pledging to recognise Palestine at the UN. What do you make of this demand by the terror group now?
Hamas feels emboldened to continue rejecting ceasefires and dragging out this war because world leaders have been telling it to keep going. I'm sorry, that's the case, and Australia is just as guilty as the UK and Canada. Israel and Hamas were in ceasefire talks, and it was expected that Hamas would agree to a ceasefire. It would let out half of the hostages, we would have a 60-day pause and negotiate an end of this war. And then what happened? Hamas's starvation campaign, pushing into international media pictures of children with muscular dystrophy and pretending that they were starving, grabbed global attention. World leaders condemned Israel, and Hamas doubled its demands. It started demanding the release of terrorists who took part in the October 7th massacre. Now it's demanding that Israel hand over Jerusalem before it's willing to end this war. This is crazy. Keir Starmer in the UK told Hamas, "We'll recognize a Palestinian state if you don't end the war, if you don't free the hostages." He's giving Hamas an incentive to continue the war. So I hope this is another wake-up call to world leaders to understand how much damage they are doing by trying to appease a violent protest movement on their own streets. They're trying to bring peace. They're condemning us to war. They're not helping us get to a ceasefire. They're blowing up a ceasefire. And I know that politicians in Australia from the government are going to be very scared of the large numbers marching through the streets with all the nasty slogans that they are chanting. But when you decide to appease an angry protest, you are in fact sabotaging ceasefire talks, condemning the hostages to being buried alive, and making sure far more people are going to be killed in a war that Hamas should have ended a long time ago.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, and it beggars belief that our political leaders in this country don't understand what you have just said. I want to ask you about a weird story from the UK and get your thoughts on it. The top 100 names for baby boys born in the UK last year includes an interesting new entry. The name Yahya shot into the top 100, experiencing a boom in popularity greater than any other boy's name. And this is interesting because, of course, Yahya is the name of former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who orchestrated the October 7 attacks in 2023. Eylon, should we read anything into this, or is this one of those just anomalies?
The October 7th massacre did not shock everyone around the world. It inspired people. It sparked celebrations, including in Australia in front of the Sydney Opera House, while the massacre was still ongoing. People saw what Hamas did when it gunned down Israelis at the music festival, abducted hostages like Eviatar David, slaughtered families in their homes, and they were excited and elated by it. And many people didn't see Yahya Sinwar as a terrorist. They saw him as some glorious liberation resistance leader. And this is the result. Look, this isn't just any other Muslim name. It's not the name Muhammad, which has been the top of the boys' names for who knows when. This catapulted into the top 100, jumped by more than any other name in terms of popularity. And it's clear, for far too many people, a minority, sure, but far too many for comfort, they see Yahya Sinwar and Hamas leaders as being cult icons. And this is a domestic extremism problem that Western countries need to get to grips with. Just as you couldn't imagine anyone in Britain naming their child Adolf at any point in the 1940s, it should have gone completely out of vogue, completely unacceptable. No one should be naming their child after the jihadi psychopath who launched this war and has brought so much destruction to the Middle East.
No, you're absolutely spot on. I just think it's frightening that that's the pathway that the UK are going right now. Eylon Levy, we always really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show this evening.
Pleasure as always.